Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm talking about the insecure man. Everybody has insecurities, but there are certain traits where insecurity really shows up strongly in certain situations, and I'm going to cover some of these situations. Obviously, everything I'm going to say today can probably be applied to women, but I'm going to focus on the insecure man. If you're married to an insecure man, you're probably going to say, yep, I see that in him, I see that in him. It's good to be able to identify these things in another person, but also bear in mind, we are not able to change another person. Only they can decide to make the changes that they need to make for themselves. But when I understand and I recognize these issues in my partner, in another person, then it just makes it so much easier to navigate the relationship when issues come up. Knowing how to respond rather than react, which I've mentioned in the past. I have a video on that, which I'll link below. And if you are yourself an insecure man or even an insecure woman, you have insecurities, this is a video that you'll hopefully be able to say, yeah, I see that might be something that I need to work on. And that is very positive when we're able to see our own insecurities and say, yes, this is something that I need to work on. That is something we really need to pat ourselves on the back and say, wow, yep, that is something where I wasn't doing good in the past. I have worked on that and I see tremendous improvements in myself on that issue. So the first point is insecure men avoid vulnerability. They do not want to open up. They do not want to bring their heart out into the open. They do, but they are very cautious of doing it. It's very difficult for them. And when they do, they need to be accepted with a tremendous amount of love. If when they make themselves vulnerable, if they feel that they're judged, if they feel that the other person isn't there to support them, they're not going to do it again. They're just simply going to close up. And in the future, when they want to share some vulnerability, there's going to be this inner feeling of, well, last time I did that, it wasn't good for me. It didn't feel good. And therefore, I'm just going to close up. I'm not going to do it again. So if you're married to a vulnerable man, to an insecure man, when it comes to vulnerability, you need to be very, very careful how you tread. Be supportive, be loving, be there for him, help him to open up, and he will open his heart to you again in the future. If you're an insecure man watching this, just be aware that you have these issues. That is an issue for you. And try to tune into your emotions. Try to express your feelings with your partner whenever you can and see how that goes. Obviously, take tiny steps, and if you feel that there is that partner that is there for you, to listen to you, to support you, then that will give you the confidence to take it further and to take further steps. Number 2 is a feeling of never being enough. Now, when somebody doesn't feel like they are enough, they're constantly putting other people down. They are constantly feeling that whatever I do isn't going to be good enough. It's never going to be what I'm hoping for, what I would like it to be. And therefore, when an insecure man is married to a woman who feels like he's not enough, then it's just going to add fuel to that fire. It's going to bring out his insecurities even more. And therefore, in a relationship, a wife that is married to an insecure man needs to constantly reassure him that he is enough, that he is okay, that he's doing great, and really needs to give him encouragement and push him to keep going in whatever it is that's being discussed, rather than adding to that feeling of not being enough. And that is really, really an important point. So the next point, number 3, is perfectionism. As part of this feeling of not being enough, an insecure man is a bit of a perfectionist. That whenever he wants to do something, he wants to try something, there's going to be a lot that's holding him back from doing that. But when he does actually put in the effort, he needs encouragement and he needs support. And like a toddler learns to walk, they'll get on their feet and they'll take 1 or 2 steps and they'll fall down. A toddler gets back up and tries again. When somebody has insecurities, it is really difficult. They hit a brick wall, they find something really, really difficult, really challenging. An insecure person very often will just simply give up. So if you're an insecure man, I would say tune into that. Get in touch with that you have those feelings within you whenever you come across difficulties, and use that to just keep going and keep going. If you're a woman that's married to an insecure man, again, he needs a lot of encouragement. He needs a lot of backing, that you're there for him, that you're there to support him without criticism, without telling him what he should be doing or how he should be doing it. You can make suggestions in a loving way, but if it comes across that he feels that you're criticizing him, that is not going to go well. Number 4 is insecure men are reluctant to seek help. They don't want to recognize within themselves that there is a problem. It's not that I'm perfect, but they find it difficult to tune into that. So some insecure men may never go to the doctor because I'm okay. I'm feeling okay. Yeah, I've got this thing that keeps coming back, and yeah, but I don't need to go to a doctor. It'll work itself out. It'll be fine. And so too, insecure men will find it very difficult to go and get therapy, to talk to somebody about their issues, to talk about the things that they want to work on to become better. And really, having that difficulty of being able to open up, to be able to go to a therapist, to go to somebody that's going to help you, is actually shooting yourself in the foot. So if you're an insecure man, and you're kind of thinking, maybe I should go to a therapist, maybe I should speak to this person or that person, or doing something that will help me through a certain issue, I would say, go for it. Absolutely go for it, because it's the insecurity that is holding you back, telling you that, you're okay, you don't need that, you'll manage, it'll be fine. And the truth of the matter is, you'll do actually much, much better if you do go to a therapist, if you do go and get some help in whatever the issue is. Coaching, just thinking of the idea of coaching. Any athlete that wants to excel in their sport, they have a coach. They have someone that's there that's pushing them on. It's not because they have an issue and the person's going to criticize them and tell them how terrible they are. But that coach is actually going to push them beyond their comfort zone and take them way beyond where they would have been able to get to if they'd have done it on their own. Number 5 is addictions. Insecure men just simply don't like to look at themselves, and therefore they tend to become addicted to things that are a distraction, that prevent them from having to look in at themselves. So whether it is drugs, pornography, alcohol, movies, doing things that are gaming, doing things that just fill up the time so that we don't have to look into ourselves, watching movies, even social media is a form of addiction that we may use as an escape. So addictions when it comes to this issue is really an escape. I just don't want to deal with the issues that I really need to deal with because it's uncomfortable and I don't want to, even though that's going to be really good for me. I don't want to. I can't. And therefore I will distract myself with all kinds of other things that will divert my attention away from what I really need to look at. Number 6 is compliments. Insecure men have a hard time with compliments, being complimented. They cannot really let it land. They'll react to a compliment like, you really think so? Really? An example off the top of my head, and I'm gonna now switch over to insecure women. I was recently at a Shabbos table. The food was great. One of the other guests complimented the wife that everything is delicious, it's tasty, it's delicious, it's great, we're having a fantastic Shabbos meal here. And the wife looked at her daughter and said, thanks to my daughter did most of the work. And the truth of the matter is, just looking at the daughter and seeing how, because I'm in tune with, how this looks like, I could see the wife had totally done most of the work. The daughter had probably helped out very nicely, but the wife simply could not allow that to land and to say, thank you. She had to divert it to somebody else. It was her. So this is accepting compliments shows insecurity. Again, this is something that insecure men should try to be a little bit aware of. If you do get a compliment, then let it land, say thank you, and appreciate it. Number 7 is that an insecure man cannot accept criticism. They just can't take criticism. Criticism becomes, if a man is criticized, he will then deflect it back at the other person. He will defend himself. He will blame the other person, that it's their problem, that it's their fault. The reason why he did this is because of them, because of something that they did. And criticism is just not gonna be accepted very easily. So a woman that is married to an insecure man needs to be very aware of this. She needs to be aware that if there is something she wants to bring to the table, she needs to do it in a way where it's not seen as criticism. And there are ways of doing this. I've spoken about this in my previous videos. And an insecure man needs to be very aware that when it comes to criticism, he has a hard time with that. That is very difficult for him. And therefore, when criticism is brought up by his wife, by somebody else, he needs to be able to, again, respond to that rather than react to it. Again, I'm going to link the video that I mentioned earlier below. Definitely worth taking a look at that as well. And number 8, the last one, is isolation. Insecure men tend to isolate quite often. They don't like to be around other people socially. They feel that, if I'm around these other people, there may be a discussion and they may actually realize that I don't know anything about the topic that they're talking about. They may feel that they just need time for themselves and they'll isolate, they'll go into their office, they'll go into their room, they'll go out, they'll avoid getting into conflict. They'll do anything to just be alone rather than being in a social setting or even talking to his wife. Sometimes isolation can definitely be a positive thing, but if it gets to a point where it is very often and beyond and not normal, not a normal level of isolation, then he needs to kind of check things out, see what's going on for himself, and really kind of work on that for himself. So 8 things that really show a person's insecurities. Again, really applies to men, but some of these things may also apply to women. I hope this video has been helpful. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a like. Subscribe to my video, hit the button below, and I look forward to seeing you again.